What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to do a comparison of the Keats Fantasy Club Grand Raijin with the Takara Tomy MPG Super Ginrai. So, thanks to Dr. Diecast for allowing me to borrow his copy of the KFC figure. It's actually been a while. I've been holding on to this just because a lot of new stuff has been coming out. This is actually part 2 of this comparison. Part 1, we looked at just the core robots. Since there was enough to look at on its own, we just compared those. So today we're going to look at the combined mode, and we're going to look at the base mode, which the main bodies turn into. We're not going to look at the core robot features since we already did that. I also removed the fans hobby from this. It wasn't going to win any categories, so it wasn't really worthwhile to include it here. These are the newest figures, so that's what I'm going to look at. Now, with that being said, I try to be as objective as possible. Of course, there's subjectivity involved when you're talking about figures like this. So if I pick one and you prefer the other, then you win. I really do these to try to help people pick which one they prefer for their collection, up to including getting both of them. That being said, let's get started, and we'll start with the accessories. All right, here are all the accessories they come with, and man, what a crazy number of accessories. They both come with a lot. So let's cut off the easy ones. They both come with the larger blaster for the combined mode, and they do attach in the vehicle mode. They both come with the shoulder cannons to make it look like Power Master Prime. They both come with an alternate head. Now, the KFC comes with a comic style head. The Takara comes with a toy style head. Count those off. And then we get a toy style head with the red eyes, and I'll count off one of the faces, alternate faces they get with the KFC. I think this is also a comic face. Next, we get alternate hand pieces. So if you want just the standard hands, now this is interesting because KFC did all red hands, whereas Takara did all blue hands. And then they have the swap out part. So if you want the blue top hand with the red fingers, you can do that at Takara. And on the KFC, same thing, they have a blue top, which I have it on the figure. So we'll count those off. Both come with a Power Master. Although this one I do think Takara did a better job. It doesn't fall apart like the KFC one, but it's not as painted as the KFC. And now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. So we do get the smaller guns for the Takara, and that was definitely something missing from the KFC. I think a lot of people were like wondering why the smaller Corebot didn't come with it, but I'll count that off with Matrix, which he didn't have a Matrix in the show, and then the other one I'll count off another face. All right, then we've got the kind of different parts left here. We've got the shoulder bits to make it more cartoon accurate from Master Force. You got these add-on bits, which I'm going to put on the figure in a minute. And for the KFC, you get these alternate comic style look for the forearms. We also get a flight stand adapter, and we get the shoulder pad pieces for comic look, and there's 2 of those, so I'm going to count off this little mini figure of Ginrai, which can be put into the cab mode. Alright, so here's kind of what we're left with, and I'm not sure if I should even count this as an accessory. This was a replacement plate. They gave you a replacement plate because the first one didn't fit properly, and the second one didn't fit properly either, but they were trying to fix the problem. So to me, this is a fix. It's not really an accessory. It's not something you'd swap on in and out. So I'm not really going to count that. So you're left with extra blast effects for the Takara, and they're beautiful. They did these really, really well. So I'm going to give accessories over to Takara. All right, next we'll talk about the gimmicks on these two. And surprisingly, they both have the opening cab gimmick where you can put the driver in there. The Power Master fits in this one. This one, the Power Master doesn't fit, but they gave you that little smaller one so you can have him drive around. You can also put the Power Master into the trailer, into the back. So they both have that. They both have some of the gimmicks in the actual base mode. They both can do basically the same things. However, the KFC has the light up eyes on the head, and I actually never put the batteries in to this, but they're actually pretty nice light up eyes. And then you have these alternate faces, which can be used with that light up feature. So I'm going to give Gimmicks over to KFC for the light up head. All right, next we'll talk about the cartoon accuracy and the sculpt. In order to that, we'll put the G1 image from Master Force there so you can take a look. And both of them did a pretty good job at representing the cartoon. I think there's a couple little things that Takara did that just get it a little bit closer. One being these pieces for the shoulder, which are option parts. That definitely looks more like the cartoon. And then the crotch, they did it all white across the whole crotch versus just the center. And that definitely stands out as a little more accurate. And then coming down to the legs, the way they sculpted the knee and the toe, I think Takara nailed the look. This one, they did try, but it ended up looking a little goofy in this area. So I'm going to give cartoon accuracy over to Takara. When it comes to sculpt, both are pretty clean as well. For KFC, I was actually pretty impressed how clean it is. They both have the backpack, but that is accurate. He actually has that in the cartoon. And they both have the legs with the blue in the front and silver on the side. All right, next we'll talk about the paint and build on these two. When it comes to paint, the KFC is painted on the cab, on the head, parts of the arm, not the whole thing, but parts of it are painted. The waist and thighs and the lower legs all have paint. For the Takara, we have a little bit of paint on the face. The rest of this blue you see is unpainted. The red is unpainted. The chest, the die-cast piece here is painted, but then the outside is unpainted red plastic. This is unpainted. A little bit of red paint here, red and blue, but then the white's unpainted. The blue's unpainted. The gray's unpainted. The silver thighs is paint, but generically speaking, it doesn't have nearly as much paint as the KFC. And the KFC paint is done pretty well. So I'm going to give paint over to KFC. When it comes to build quality, though, this is an absolute no-brainer. The Takara is going to win on build quality. This thing is a nightmare. You'll notice when we get to the articulation, things will start coming apart. And I haven't really messed with it because I don't want it to come apart. I want it to stay together. But yeah, it's really got issues at the knees, not being able to hold the weight. This top panel likes to pop off. Things like to just collapse on you. This side-to-side movement. There's lots of things with it. So I'm going to give build quality over to Takara. All right, next we'll talk about the articulation on these two. In order to do that, we'll articulate each one individually so you can see how they perform. Starting with the KFC, we have the head on a rotating swivel, so it gets up to there, pretty high, down to there, and it rotates around. Shoulders can rotate on a ratchet. As soon as you start doing this, stuff starts coming apart at this top plate here. Out to the side on a ratchet, if you lift up this little piece here, it gets up to there. This is very poorly made. It's being held by this little pin, so be careful with that. But yeah, it's up to there. You have a rotation here at the bicep, rotation at the elbow. Double jointed elbow actually works pretty well, and it's got a little piston looking thing here, so that's a nice touch. You have a rotation at the wrist, individually articulated fingers at 1, 2, 3 pins, and then they also have a pin that allows them to splay out. Probably some of the best hands we've ever gotten from KFC. Thumb is on a ball joint and a pin. So very, very well done hands on the KFC. Coming down to the waist, you have a side-to-side movement, which that is an articulation, but it's very irritating because it sometimes gets it and you don't want it to. It's a little loose. Rotation at the waist on a ratchet. And you have an ab crunch. It is ratcheted, but due to the weight of the core robot, it doesn't hold. So you can't put it in any position due to the weight. So it has articulation, it just doesn't really work all that well. For the legs, you have hip skirts. Move out of the way on the front, back, and sides. Legs can kick up to there. The legs start coming apart if you're not careful, but back to there. Out to the side on a very strong ratchet. And this chest is starting to pop out. as you articulate, things start to get messed up here, but the knee is double jointed, but you can't use it. You can only use one at a time. You can either use that bottom one or the top one, but if you try to use both, you can't because it collides. So it's really single jointed knee there. You just can't get it. Things get kind of messed up here. Okay, there we go. The ankles, you can tilt side to side. You're getting a little bit forward and backward, but then this heel kind of flops down, so that's a little bit of irritation, but I guess you're not going to be picking it up. And there you go for KFC. For the Takara, we have the head on a rotating swivel, up to there, down to there, rotates around. Shoulders rotate down on a ratchet. Out to the side, if you pick this up, you actually have a joint that goes up to there, but then there's an inner joint that gets you up to there. So that's pretty nice. Butterfly joint, which gets you pretty far. So that's unique on this one. It's got that extra butterfly joint. Rotation at the bicep. Single joint to elbow only gets you up to there. That's definitely shy of what KFC can do. Rotation at the wrist. You have in and out movement at the wrist, and then you have individually articulated fingers, at least at the pointer finger, but the other threes are connected. And it doesn't have that extra splay out motion. The thumb itself is just on a single pin, and the fingers don't have as much on the individual level. So those hands are definitely way more articulated. Coming down to the waist, you have a waist rotation on a ratchet. Ab crunch gets you down to there. No side to side tilt like the KFC. You can move the front and side hip skirts. The legs will kick up to there on a ratchet. Back to there, hindered by the backpack. Out to the side. Again, nice strong ratchets that hold up the weight. Rotation of the thigh at a cut joint. This one's at a universal. You have a double jointed knee, gets you almost a full bend, not quite. It's single jointed, sorry, but it gets you like a double joint all the way due to the cutout and the way they designed it. And then you have ankle tilts, single click. So because of the extra ab articulation as well as the hand articulation and the foot movement forward and backward a little bit, you're just going to eke it out for KFC. All right, next let's talk about the transformation engineering. Comes to transformation, no surprise here, the KFC is a nightmare. The trailer is an absolute nightmare. The core bot actually is relatively good. I wish they had designed the rest of it as good as this guy, but yeah, the rest is just, it's nonsense. So I'm going to give the transformation over to Takara. When it comes to engineering, I think I'm also going to give it over to Takara. They have a really compact, well-built system. It's a little on the small side, and we don't have scale as a category in this comparison, but maybe due to the size, things are just more solid and things just work better. The engineering, the design of everything just works better. This one, the engineering of this trailer is a disaster. It just doesn't work well. Even in that base mode, which we're going to look at, it's like barely holding together. So not very good engineering on this main body. So we're going to give that to Takara as well. All right, and there they are in base mode. And normally I would just skip this mode, but Dr. Diecast asked me specifically to show this, so here we are. And they both have a pretty good approach. I really like that X-Transbots or Keith's Fantasy Club went ahead and put the helipad here. That's a nice touch. I'm not a big fan of having the wheels down here. That kind of takes away from the look of the base. But overall, they are both well done. They do look like bases. When it comes to like Optimus though, I think because of the size of the Optimus on the KFC, it just fits together better. Like it looks like he's actually manning the station. Whereas this one, it seems like he's too small for his own battle station. So So that's a little off, but I do like the paint, the colors on this one. I like how it can be configured. This is not official. It doesn't have the guns there, but it makes sense to put them there. The KFC, you got the guns there too. I mean, everything just works. I did put the Target Master here. It's not meant to go there, but it does stand there. And then these, for the Takara one, you can put it in either gun. I could probably stand it here too if I wanted to. So for the most part, they perform the same function. They both look okay as a base. They pretty much do the same stuff. So I'm going to call it a tie on base mode. I do think the KFC is a little more flippy floppy in this mode, but overall they do the job, so I'm going to give them a tie. All right, next we'll talk about the cost on these two. And as always, I use the prices from ages 3 and up, since they don't monkey with the prices after they put them up. The KFC comes in at $150 for the core bot, $200 for the main bot, totaling $350. And the Takara comes in at $295. So Takara is going to win on cost. Both relatively expensive, but Takara is going to take it. And the final factor in this comparison is the members' choice category, where I ask my members which one they prefer, just based on their own personal preferences and no other factors. And this one actually surprised me, but the KFC is going to win the members' choice. I think the size definitely is a factor in this, right? The imposing look of it. It just looks more beefy and more imposing, but it's going to take the members' choice category. So final thoughts on the comparison. You can see the score there, and Takara is going to win this one. And I'm not surprised about the outcome. I did think Takara was going to win, but I am surprised how many points the KFC got. And the thing is, it does a lot of things right. You know, it's got really good features and accessories. It looks very good and imposing. The size is actually an advantage just because with the Masterpiece scale, it's nice to have a big guy like this. In terms of scale, I think it is more accurate than this guy, but the quality issues just hold it back. To set up this pose here, for example, it took about 5 minutes because it kept dropping the guns, the panel kept popping out, the knees kept popping out, the front of these legs kept popping out. Just little things like that keep you from enjoying it. And I'm the kind of person that likes to mess with their figures, transform them over and over. This guy is better for that, definitely, than this guy. So I think one question that I get very often is, why don't I weight things? Like, for example, the cost, right? This is more than $50 more expensive than this guy, so shouldn't I weight that factor? And the answer is, I don't weight any of the categories. All of them are worth 1 point in my comparison, because it's up to you to decide what's more important to you. Is it cost? Is it the build? Is it the transformation? You know, whatever it is that you value in the figure, you can decide and then weight that accordingly and make a decision. So that's why I don't weight them. Me personally, I weight build quality and transformation engineering very high because I like to mess with my figures. And that's why this one is the pick for me. So hopefully that helped you out. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Dr. Diecast for allowing me to borrow this figure for over 2-3 months as I did this 2-part comparison. Finally going to be able to send it back and get this thing out of my house. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.